Hello and welcome to the Mal and Johnny Show. This week we're going to talk about comedy and how it's changed over the years. But first, Johnny, what have you been up to this week?
Well, I'm just getting prepared for this show I'm going to do next month. It's called Bless 'Em All. It's all about the warriors and, a couple of the old songs, Roll at the Barrel, get them all singing along,
Great.
I'm working with a friend of mine called Peter Lewis, and he's very good, great baritone. Did panto with Peter. But some of the tapes are not exactly all in sync, if you know what I mean.
Right.
Some of the levels are different, so I've been trying to get all the levels right.
Oh, well done. And where's the gig again, just so people can book it as we talk?
Oh, it's in Dinas Powys, in the hall in Dinas Powys. It's called Cabaret at the Hall. A guy puts shows on there all the time.
Fantastic.
They do them in the afternoon, which is great because some people don't want to go out in the night, do they?
And particularly if it's October, it's going to be a little bit dark, isn't it? It's going to be dark.
That's right.
It's funny, isn't it? Because you think at the moment it's never going to be dark again and it's never going to be cold again. But
I know.
My experience tells me, Johnny, that winter's coming.
It's coming.
Now then, comedy, because the thing is, you come across some old songs or something, and what did you actually found?
I found going through my father's stuff, and I found an old songbook.
Right.
There it is, with all these old songs in, and they're so funny. But I mean, they're probably not funny to young people anymore.
Right, go on, give us a couple. Let's put it to the test.
Mary Lloyd did this one, okay?
Right.
And it's called "She Sits Amongst the Cabbages and Peas." But it's peas spelled Peas.
Yes, of course it is, yes.
She sits amongst the cabbages and peas with a pretty little peapot between her knees. She's a wizard shelling peas, so she sits and shells with ease till her pretty little peapot's full of peas. And then she said, there's hundreds of these. Oh, she sits amongst cabbages and peas, and she talks to all the little bugs and bees. They climb up her legs and arms, and all around her other charms. They see lots of other things we ever see.
Jody, that's quite.
No, this is Victoriana. No, they were very near the mark. It was double entendre, but they were like that, weren't they? The Victorians. They were either very prudish or they had these bawdy songs.
Go on, give us another one.
She sits amongst the cabbages and peas, and the little birds are singing in the trees. Wait till she falls asleep, then fly down and take a peek at the pretty little peapot full of peas. And there was another one called "The Night I Appeared as Macbeth."
Okay, let's have a little.
Right. I don't know the tune. I just have to recite what it says. Right. 'Twas through a YMCA concert I craved the desire for the stage. In Flanders one night I was asked to recite Gadzooks. I was quickly the rage. They said I was better than Irving. Hang on, I'm going to turn a page here. They're better than Irving, and gave me some biscuits and tea. I know it's not union wages, but that was the usual fee. So it goes, I acted so tragic, the house rose like magic. The audience yelled, you are sublime. They made me a present of Mornington Crescent. They threw it a brick at the time. Some threw fenders, which caught me a bender. I hoisted a white flag and tried to surrender. They jeered me, they queered me, and half stoned me to death. They threw nuts and sultanas, fried eggs and bananas, right the night I appeared as Macbeth. And then there's another about 4 choruses, but the one that makes me laugh at the end. They advertised time for the curtain was 6:45 on the street. The hall keeper having mislaid the key, we played the first act in the street. Somebody called for the author. He's dead, said the flute player's wife. Dead, poor old Bill. I never knew the poor fellow was ill. And on it goes. And there was another one they called He's a Pro.
Right.
Wait. He's a pro. Hang on. He'll make you laugh in a minute or so. He's on the... Hang on, I have to read the first bit.
Okay.
I thought it was great when I was asked... It's very small. It was great when I went on the stage about 6.5 months ago, because everyone said it was nice. They found out I was a pro. A fire broke out in the lodgings one night, and the firemen were there instantly. They saved everybody right down to the cap, but they never tried to save me. He's a pro. He'll make us laugh in a minute or so. I could feel myself cooking. My shirt was alight. So I stood on the windowsill, trembling with fright. The firemen were laughing at me, and I heard someone say down below, let him go. He's a turd. He will burn. He'll do us a turn. He's a pro.
He's a pro.
I mean, they're stupid, but they were funny in the days.
Yeah. And the thing is, if you had that material,
Yeah.
You know, you couldn't watch it on the telly or hear it on the radio, so people would, you know, every night it would be new, wouldn't it? It'd be new audience.
They used to have this 15-minute act or whatever they are, or 10 minutes sometimes, and they would do the circuit of all the different music halls, and they would do the same act for 10 years, because by the time you came back to the last one you did the first time, it would be like years later.
Yeah.
Because there were so many music halls all over the country.
Yeah.
I remember my parents telling me you could work in London for 6 months.
Yes.
Because there were theatres everywhere. You know, New Cross Empire, blah, 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 blah. They were all there, you know.
Yeah.
Not only the West
15
End,
minutes,
they were all over.
15 minutes would last you a lifetime in those days, wouldn't
That's
it?
right, yeah. That's right.
Yeah, I was listening to a guy yesterday who was a writer, and he was just saying, you know, it's amazing that you can write a blog, or we can do it.
Yeah.
You know, you can do a podcast. It can be seen in Kazakhstan, you know, within the hour.
That's right, yeah.
But you can't make a living.
Television killed the profession.
Kill the profession. It's funny.
Yeah, because an act, if a bloke had I forget who said it was. I think it was Ted Ray, the old comedian.
Yeah.
He said, "Do you ever steal a joke?" He said, "Yeah, well, everybody stole jokes." He said, "You'd walk 20 miles to steal a joke, and when you got there, you got your old one back."
I was thinking of you know, those songs, because they're very clever as well. You know, do you know the Pheasant Pluckers song?
He's a pheasant plucker's son. I can't remember it, but I remember
I'm not a pheasant plucker. I'm a pheasant plucker's mate. I'm only plucking pheasants because the pheasant plucker's late. Not,
say that too fast.
Exactly. That's you got to be really clever, and you got to know your stuff. Oh yeah, funny. And so alternative comedy is it funny? It also changed, I suppose, in the maybe it was a little bit early. You know, the 60s when they used to do That Was the Week That Was. And now, do you remember when David Frost and all that sort of happened, and what your feelings were about it?
That was all like satire. That was all done on things that happened that day, and they would talk about the news and so on. It's satirical.
Yeah.
So, but it wasn't blue.
No.
I mean, we went through the period in the 60s and 70s where it was all like jokes about your mother-in-law, you know, or racist jokes. I remember one joke was that my mother's got a great new job. She's swimming up and down Loch Ness, frightening the hunters. You know what I mean? That's her picture on the Welsh flag. You know, and all those ones.
Yeah.
Because
that was the comedians, wasn't it? The comedians, they used to be on like every Sunday, I think it was, Sunday tea time, the comedians. Yeah. And they were, you know, the best of the crop. And I suppose that made their careers, wasn't it? Those club comedians. Bernard Manning. There were so many of them.
Well, there was our friend Bryn Phillips was on it.
Bryn was on?
There was... what's the Liverpool fella that used to do about his chip shop, the Jamin's Bombi chip shop?
It's interesting how comedy has changed. Now, there was a reaction. Obviously, there was the satirical stuff, David Frost, and it was all those clever boys from the Cambridge Footlights, like John Cleese and all of that. And they bumped against somebody like Ronnie Barker, who was old school, and then that brought that. And then was it the 80s and 90s where they went to the comedy clubs and things changed? Radically. Yeah,
but then you get people saying, I'm going to do stand-up. I mean, what they mean is they're going to get a load of jokes and try and say them. But I mean, they're not comedians. Some of them, they're just, Mrs. Jones, I'm going to do stand-up. And you've got to learn your trade to be a comedian. You've got to learn how to time a joke and how to get the best. But see, the old comics were very funny men, although they were doing like near-the-knuckle jokes.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah.
I never forget, there was a bloke called Lenny Bruce came over to Britain in the late 60s, and he was a blue comic from America, and he was swearing, effing and blind away. And he got thrown out of the country. And literally, he wouldn't know because it's normal. Yeah. And he was working at the Establishment Club, I think it was called. And Frankie Howard followed him in the following week. And Frankie Howard's first line, which he got a scream of a lie, said, "Ladies and gentlemen, you had Lenny Bruce last week, and he got thrown out for bad language. Well, if you're expecting anything from me like that, you may as well F off right now." Which is funny. Yeah. So the word was funny because it was, but sometimes they just chuck it in every 2 minutes for no reason at all. Yeah. Don't get it.
Yeah. I mean, because I think, if I'm right in remembering, people asked you if you're doing some blue comedy in between your act, and you wouldn't do it. Well,
no, I couldn't do it. I mean, I'm used to being brought up in a theatres thing with my parents where you don't say bloody on stage. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it would feel alien to me to swear on a stage. Yeah. I could do it in a play if I had to, but that's different. Yeah. Playing a part. Yeah. But no, it feels wrong. To me, it feels wrong. Anyway, I went to see Bill Bailey. he was the funniest man, never said one bad word for 2 hours. He had the place in uproar.
Yeah.
Because he's clever, he's funny, and he's a musician, but he didn't need bad language.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah. I was listening to a lady now. She does mash up the week or something, and it's just been cancelled on the BBC, but it's on the Dave channel, and they got a lot of criticism from the government because they would make fun of the government, you know.
Right.
But she said the thing is, you know, you make fun of the establishment, and the government are the establishment. So, you know, you can't make fun of the opposition because they're not funny. You know,
that's right.
You have to make fun of the Prime Minister.
You go back to the 1800s, they were making fun of the government. You know what I mean? That's what people did.
Yeah.
You know, they're up there to be shot at, aren't they?
Yes, yeah. And he's only,
poor old Boris is added a broadside.
he's been a boon, you know. And the thing is, people build their comedy careers. It's like that guy Stephen Allen used to do an impression of Margaret Thatcher. I mean, when she resigned, it was the end of his career.
Right, that's right.
Yeah, you know.
See, remember Dave Allen? He used to do not racist. He used to do jokes about religion. But he did it about every religion.
Yeah,
so
he wasn't prejudiced.
Specific.
He wasn't prejudiced. He hit them all.
And he'd say, "May your God go with you."
That's
at the end.
right.
You think which one it was?
Do you remember he used to smoke a cigarette with his
with the one finger off? Yeah.
Who do you find funny these days? Then who do you really think is funny?
Well, like I just said, that Bill Bailey's very funny.
Mm-hmm.
And I always found Doddy funny. Even, you know, he was silly, but he was funny.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what it is about Doddy. He used to say, he was looking at this woman in a box, and she's up in the box in the theatre, and she's got rather large breasts, you know. Right. And he said, she's been on the melon diet. Oh, by Jove. You know, it's silly stuff.
Do you know things that make you smile and make you laugh in that case? I really love. Have you Mortimer and White House? White House.
Oh yeah.
When they gone fishing, and it's just two blokes talking away, saying the most ridiculous things. But I mean, it sounds terrible. It's wholesome, right? It's you know, both of them have had heart attacks. They've done all the funny, you know, sort of, you know, when they used to do Shooting Stars with the other guy, Mortimer, and whatever the other guy was.
Suit you, sir. Suit you.
That's right. Yeah. And rubbing his legs.
Measuring the inside leg. Oh, suit you.
And now they just talk, and they aren't naturally funny. It's like there aren't any gags. There aren't any gags. No. They just make you laugh by just. What about people making you laugh by looking at them? I mean, Doddy was a bit like that, wasn't he? He just looked funny.
Yeah.
He just looked.
He looked funny, and it was like lots of them were like that. And then there was the old comedians always had to play something at the end, play a violin or sing a song or something. You know, it's totally different now, isn't it? But see, they come on now, dressed in a pair of jeans and a t-shirt.
Yeah.
Right. There was a lovely line. I think it was Billy Crystal said. He said, they're coming on here doing comedy. They're dressed for a felony. Because we all used to go on dressed lovely in your dress suit. You know, you'd have your nice clothes on.
Yeah.
Because you owe it to the audience.
Yeah.
You don't want to come on like some bloke that's walked off the street. What's it? The old line about the old actor. He's done every Shakespearean play there is, right? Mm-hmm. And he walks in off the street because he's late. He's drunk. And they said, what are we playing tonight? He said, Hamlet. Hang on, I need a moustache. He gets a bit of dirt off his shoe and he went, where's the stick?
Billy Connolly, because I used to be managed by the same company as Billy Connolly, and he genuinely used to go on stage and not know what he was going to talk about. I mean, obviously he had a million stories, but he just used to make it up. He used to just riff with it.
A very funny man, though. Very funny guy.
It's hysterical.
Naturally funny. Naturally.
Yeah. Yes.
But some people are naturally funny, like you just said about Doddy. Again, they're funny people.
Yeah. Max Boyce. Max. No, I went on tour with Max.
Max is funny.
Max is incredibly funny. You know, with his funny, he's got his stories, he's got his jokes, he's got his songs. We went on a tour of Southeast Asia with Max. Hong Kong, Korea, New Zealand, Australia. Now, Hong Kong, New Zealand, Australia, expats out and about, or immigrants as they call them over there, out and about, and they knew Max, and then a lot of Welsh people. We'd have lots of Welsh cakes and stuff. We went to Seoul in Korea, and there was one guy there from Trallwyn in Swansea. That was it. All the rest of them were Americans. Americans.
Yeah.
And what I found was really clever about Max, he was able to table it, because his stories were universal.
About rugby, most of them.
Yeah, but it was like because they're about people, they're just funny situations, and he was brilliant, and he really had to work hard for that gig, and he had stories about going to America with the Dallas Cowboys. But if he had been a new comedian, just stuck into that in an audience that had no idea, could have gone disastrously badly. But because he had all those years' experiences, you learn your craft, don't you? In all these professions, actually, whether you're a stonemason or a brickie or whatever it is,
you got to learn your trade.
You got to learn your trade, and you've got to do the hours.
Because I think the old joke game, there's still some great funny jokes, but I don't think people they're ready for a story now. They like a story, don't they?
Yeah. I tell you what, I did a bit of comedy this week myself.
What do you do?
I think TikTok. Have you come across TikTok?
Well, I've seen it. It's a Chinese thing.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's enormous. It's absolutely the whole following is enormous. My first TikTok was to complain that there's a guy on TikTok pretending to be me, Mal Pope 3 it is, and he's got 20 times the number of followers that I have.
Who is he?
I have no idea. I don't know why they do it. And I've just done one now about Fireman Sam. Somebody had done a Fireman Sam a little TikTok. It's like 30 seconds or 40 seconds of nonsense, pretending to be fine. Anyway, you can't really explain TikTok until you see it.
So you're going to join it a bit like
Facebook and all this type. It's another one of those. And so he was telling the behind the scenes story of how Fireman Sam got recorded, and he's saying, and Malpope did this and Malpope did that. So I actually I did it dressed as an aging rock star, telling him the true story about when I was changed my name from Maldwin to Mal because of obvious reasons. And I really anyway.
Hey lads, we need a song for our new show about a fireman called Sam. Can you help me out?
87 was a tough year for the band. After all that stuff that happened in Vegas. Anyway, things were heavy, really heavy. That's when I got a call from my manager. He said, "Mal, do you want to do a film?" I said, "What's it about?" He said, "It's about 250 quid. I said, "I'm in." I don't see Sam so much these days. He's moved on, got a new theme song, new singer. I miss the old days. It was heavy, man. Really heavy. I'm not sure if we'll go viral, Johnny, but if we do, you're coming with me. You're coming with me. We'll go viral together.
We could go work in China. We'd be stars in Shanghai. You ever been to China?
Hong Kong, not mainland. Have you done?
I've been there.
Have you been?
I was on a cruise. We went into Hong Kong, then we went up the river all the way to Shanghai.
Wow!
And it was quite a few years ago before it became like skyscraper town,
Mm-hmm.
And it looked like Liverpool because all the seafront were those British. They built all these big houses and like hotels and stuff. Looked like Liverpool or Manchester,
Wow. Yeah.
Very different, yeah.
Wow. We'll have to do countries we've visited next time. How's that?
Well, I don't know. I'd run out of those. I've been to millions of them. I don't know about you.
All right.
That's the trouble with me. My wife says, "Where are we going to go for holidays?" I said, "I don't know. I've been everywhere." And I have.
I've been everywhere, man.
I've been everywhere. I got paid for it as well.
I never bought a ticket. Never bought a plane ticket in my life. All right. Well, that's lovely. All right. So comedy's safe in our hands, Johnny.
Well, I don't know about that, but we put a few to rights, haven't we? See, people like Jack Benny. I got to bring this one. Jack Benny was a very funny man because he had this wonderful timing. There was one thing he did. He used to come on and go, "Ladies and gentlemen," and he'd just stand there like this, and he'd say, "This man came into the room, and just as he was about to say the next line, on comes somebody singing a jazz song, went right through it. He just stood there, watched it, and he waited until he went off." And he said to this woman, when he left off, the timing was phenomenal.
Do you know the most important rule about comedy, Johnny? Timing. And on that note, it's not a gag it's not a gag we haven't told somewhere along the line. Johnny Tudor, lovely to have you on the Mal and Johnny show. Stay tuned. And so it's goodbye from him.
And it's TikTok from me. I'll see you next week on TikTok.
See you, Johnny. Ta-ra, bye.
Ta-da, ta-da.